isn't one single best property investment strategy in the UK, but there is a right one for you. Are you cash rich, time poor, or maybe the other way around? By the end of this video, you'll know what strategy is best for you for your specific situation. If you're new here, my name's James, and this channel is all about helping you build and grow your knowledge about property investment, all without gimmicks or unrealistic promises. I'm the co-founder and managing director of a property investment business called Freighter Property Partners, and last year alone, I helped individual investors purchase over £10 million worth of property, with properties priced between £150,000 and £300,000. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel, but let's get started. As a property investor, there's a number of strategies you could go down to build your wealth in the long term, but not everyone is right for every person. Some are better for people with more time, others are better for people with more cash. But how do you know what the right strategy is for you, and can you achieve your goals by following that strategy? The first question you need to ask yourself is, what is your situation? Are you time poor, cash rich? Are you cash poor, time rich? Or are you cash rich, time rich? Unfortunately, if you're time poor and cash poor, the chances are property investment probably isn't quite right for you. Now, once you've categorized yourself into a certain situation, you can then choose the best property investment strategy for you. The first category, time poor, cash rich. For time poor, cash rich people, you often see yourself as working professionals, people with young families, and people running their own businesses. You will understand the reasons why you invest in property. The chances are you probably have a relatively healthy pot of cash to invest in, but you don't have the time to go out and do it all yourself. For people like you, the best strategy is most likely to be buy-to-let properties. You're going to want to have it fully managed so it doesn't take up lots of time, energy, and stress for you. You'll have the opportunity to build your wealth in the long term. So if you're in your 50s, 40s, or even 30s, the chances are this is going to be a great strategy to build your wealth in the long term if you're focusing on areas primed for long-term capital growth. You won't have to deal with things like complex projects that take up a lot of time and effort, or constant turnover of tenants that you'll find in things like HMOs. Buy-to-let property investment is ideal for anyone investing from a 10-year or 15-year perspective, and someone that doesn't want to have to make it their second job. But as always, focus on the fundamentals, make sure you're investing in locations that are still affordable for the local market, make sure you've done your due diligence, and be patient for the long-term wealth. You'll have the opportunity to refinance these properties every 5 years or so to scale the portfolio in the long term, but if you're able to inject some additional cash yourself from your day job, savings, or anything else, then you're definitely onto a winner. The next category is people that are time rich and cash rich. If you're time rich and cash rich, you actually have the choice of which strategy you want to go down. You could buy-to-lets if you don't want to have to put lots of effort into it. You can go for project-based property investment, so flips and buy, refurb, refinance, because you've got the time to do it and the opportunity to buy properties in cash. But you could ultimately pick and choose whatever strategy you want to choose that works for you and your goals. So if you're time rich and cash rich, but you want to retire within the next 2 or 3 years, the chances are you're probably going to go down the route of project-based property investment. These strategies allow you to add value and increase value quickly to properties, and although they take a lot of time and effort and sometimes quite a lot of stress, they can make you get to your goals a lot faster than some more passive property investment strategies. Having said that, just because you have the time and the cash to go and do project-based property investment, if you don't have the appetite or the skills or knowledge to do that, then you don't have to do it. The beauty of having both time and cash means that you can pick and choose the best strategy that you're actually interested in. For example, if you've just exited your business and you want to actually take some time to enjoy that rather than just jumping into your next project or your next thing, then the chances are you could start out with a few buy-to-lets, and when you've built your appetite up again, you can then go for some more high-intensity projects. But like always, understand the refurb costs, make sure you manage the relationships with people that can come in and do the work, and don't overstretch yourself in a new market. The final category of property investors are people that are time rich and cash poor. These people are often professionals that are maybe a little bit earlier in their careers, but also these people often are people that are now understanding that they don't want to work forever. They want to look at retirement in the next 15, 20 years, but they don't necessarily have a big salary. For the people that fall into this category, in my opinion, you probably only really have one option, and that option is live-in flips and renovation projects. This is where you buy your own home, you add value to it during the time in which you live there, you then either sell it or refinance that in a few years to release equity that you can then use for further property investment. The reason for doing this is because you have more time than you do have cash to invest into the property. So you can buy a property in your personal name with a 10% deposit and live in that property while you add value to it. You can do the renovation on a room-by-room basis, and you don't have to be tied to doing it to strict timelines like you would if you did a flip or a buy and refurbish finance project. This means that your current salary can pay for the mortgage each month, and then after 1 year, 2 years, or even 3 years after you've added value to the property, you can then move on. You can go to another project, do the same thing again to build that pot of cash further, or you can choose to use that cash to invest in property. Unfortunately, if you're in London, the chances are you won't be able to afford to do this strategy either. But if you're able to live outside of London or in places further north in the country, like Birmingham, Manchester, Sheffield, Leeds, or anywhere like that, there's definitely more affordable locations you could get where you can add value to properties and then start to scale over time. Unfortunately, this strategy isn't super sexy and it takes time and can be a little bit stressful. But if you're really wanting to achieve your goals in the long term and you want to give yourself that freedom through property, the chances are this is the right strategy for people that fall into this category. Start simple, start local, add value to properties that you can live in. Then once you have that track record, you can look at other projects or you can look at buy-to-lets. When it comes to your strategy, it often comes back to whether you've got experience or you're inexperienced within property investing. An experienced investor that already has a diversified portfolio might also look at HMOs as a way of injecting some extra cash flow into their portfolio, but it really depends on you and where you're up to with your journey. If you're a beginner, I wouldn't start with HMOs because they don't grow in value much, and it means it makes it a lot harder for you to scale a portfolio over time. But if you already have a portfolio that's growing in value, HMOs can be a good way to diversify, as well as looking at short-term nets to give yourself some better cash flow in the short term. Remember, as you scale the portfolio, make sure you look to diversify to make sure you're managing and mitigating your risk over time. Review your portfolio every 2 to 3 years to make sure you're still building towards what your end goal is, and have that end goal in mind with everything you do. If you want to get yourself into a position where you earn 5k a month from your property portfolio, you're not going to do it overnight with any of these strategies, but everything you need to do needs to be targeted towards that end goal, so you're making informed decisions to give yourself that freedom in the long term. So to conclude, if you understand your time and money balance, the right strategy for you is probably pretty obvious, but obviously it still needs to help you achieve your long-term goals. The mistake I often see is people chasing quick wins. These don't necessarily mean that you can achieve your long-term goals and can sometimes stop you achieving your goals altogether, because if things sound too good to be true, then they probably are. Property investment is a long-term play, no matter what strategy you go down. But hopefully this has helped you choose which strategy is right for you, and I'll see you in the next one.